Wow, Alan, I didn't even know there was a VP debate tonight. It kind of shows just how out of the loop and totally out of touch I am. I didn't even know there was the presidential VP debate, I think, is going on right now. I had no idea it was even tonight. Let's see, let me pull up the news. Oh, what do you know? VP debate live. Waltz and Vance 2024 showdown. Started at 9 p.m. Eastern, and I had absolutely no idea that this was even a thing. Maybe that's for the better. Maybe that's like a blessing in disguise. I didn't know about it. Anyway, what's up, everyone? We'll go ahead and get started here momentarily. Happy Tuesday. Hopefully you all had a wonderful weekend. Once again, apologies for not streaming yesterday, but things have been getting pretty crazy on my end. So hopefully, as of today, we will be back to our regular scheduled programming. But as always, if you can hear us, also if we are streaming in 1080p, just go ahead and leave a like on the video, and we'll go ahead and get started here in a moment, assuming that the audio and the visuals are working. Hope everyone had a good weekend. We're going to take a nice walk down Central Park South, as we always do. This is always one of my favorite shots of New York City, right here. This little conglomerate of the GM building, 432 Park Avenue, and Trump Tower. And it looks like Trump is home. You could kind of see the lights on in the penthouse.
And that's great about Emily.
At least someone appears to be.
Weiner. Yes.
All right, looks like the video, or I should say the visual and the audio is good. So we'll go ahead and get started. Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Walks in Wall Street. Tonight is a very special stream because it is October 1. The official start of Q4. It's almost unbelievable that we're talking about Q4. The year is almost over. I remember doing these streams in January talking about Q1, giving second half of the year, first year projections for the markets and things. And now it seems like we are going to wrap this thing up and talk about late Q4 performance, and start talking about some predictions and updates for 2025. Crazy. Incredible. Now, there's some good news, there's some bad news, and there's everything in between. And we'll cover it tonight, we'll talk about it. Alan, thank you for letting me know that we have the VP debate tonight. Honestly, I had no idea. I had no idea that J.D. Vance and Tim Walz were going to be doing a debate tonight. Maybe I was just busy, out of the loop, out of touch, but as I've said at the beginning of the stream, the beginning of the broadcast, maybe it's a blessing in disguise. Maybe it's good that we don't watch that, and to save ourselves some brain cells, because I believe it's probably not going to be anything of substance. Now September is officially behind us, but the S&P 500 was up, I believe, 2% on the month. Give or take. I don't know the exact print. You could look it up yourself, but I believe the S&P 500 was up 2% for the month of September, which is massive performance. It may not sound like a lot, right? You'd be like, 2% on the S&P, not a lot, nothing to kind of sneeze at, but it's quite significant because September is historically the worst month for performance in the stock market, right? And with everything that we have going on in the United States, right, we'll talk about globally in a minute, but let's just talk about domestically. I mean, guys, it's going to get crazy. And in an election year, right, we're about to elect a new president in about a month and a half. For September, which should have been deep, deep red, we got September off to a rocky start, and we pretty much fought back against all of those losses. If you remember correctly, the start of September was pretty volatile, right? We had market correction, well, I guess you could call it that here in the US, and you had a major, major event in Asia with a mini flash crash that was worse than 1987 in Japan in the Nikkei index, right, which has now fought back most of those losses. Japan was down a little bit yesterday because of the election. I think that's a short-term move. We'll talk about that too. But with everything going on, all the uncertainty, quite impressed with how the markets performed in the month of September. So close out of the year. We may experience some volatility in and around the election season. So I would say maybe a week before the election, a week after the election. If there is some volatility there, history, if we use history as a guide, that could be a quite substantial buying opportunity to go along into the end of the year. What else we got? Looks like they're having some sort of watch party. Look at this. Check this out. Maybe they're having a VP debate watch party. Right here at the Ritz-Carlton. Anyway, and we have to talk about the port strike. We briefly went over it on Sunday, our Markets Look Ahead stream. I have a few comments on the port strike. I want to know your thoughts. I want to get some takeaways, and then we'll wrap it up talking about quantitative easing that's going on in China. But first, let's say hello to everyone in the chat. Thanks for joining. I see Professor Dario, always a pleasure, from Argentina. I see Lena Sandoval, Austin City Limits, the one and only Gary Carpenter. Good to see you, Gary. I see D. Good to see you, D. Alan, cheers. Who else we got? DC322. Oh, Wise Owl, Mark. I appreciate you being here. Just something here. Hey, New England Crypto, cheers to you as always. Hopefully you're doing well. We'll talk about Bitcoin in a minute. Sunshine After Rain, Gabriel, Zorp, Shannon. 12, what's going on? Volcano Joe. It looks like we got a full house, packed house pretty early on. This is 6th Avenue. You have all the, the horse and buggies and everything. But yeah, a lot going on. A lot of stuff going on. One thing we didn't talk about, today Iran launched an attack on Israel. Last I saw on CNN, there was over 100 missiles launched at Israel, so we have massive, intensive flare-up going on right now in the Middle East. Interestingly enough, we didn't see a major bid in crude oil. Crude, if I'm not mistaken, if you look at futures, ticker symbol CL, I think we're up maybe about $1. Maybe we've even faded throughout the day. $71 a barrel. You would think on some monumentous news like this, where you have Iran actually, launching an all-out rocket attack on Israel, maybe there's some, a little bit more of an aggressive bid in crude. Being that there wasn't, this leads me to believe that this will not lead to a World War III style event. This should probably fizzle out, which is the good news, right? I would say that's very, very good news. I mean, I don't think anyone wants this to escalate more than it already has. But if this was going to be something monumentous and really, really terrible, you would see major action in the market. Now, gold has rallied, in a massive way, but not on the news of the attack. So this is something to watch. We'll see how this plays out. But so far, I think this is going to be a non-issue. We'll see. Quinn says the debate starts now, Tom. I didn't know that. Thank you so much for letting me know, though. I'll have to watch some of the highlights. NBA Elias, AK. So maybe we'll make it a short stream because everyone's probably watching the debates. I probably should have a listen in on at least some of it just to kind of keep myself updated. But let's dive right in here and talk about this port strike. So for those of you who are not from the United States, we have a looming strike, a union strike, where they want to negotiate a new contract, and all of the port workers from Maine all the way up to New York, and I think it may hit the entire East Coast of the United States pretty soon, will be going on strike. Now, is this going to impact the economy? Is this going to be, a cataclysmic event that some analysts and some people in the media have said, especially that union leaders? I'm sure everyone has seen his statement on the whole thing. I'll kind of paraphrase, but he says, look, if we don't get what we want, he says, my men worked throughout COVID. The 1% got richer and richer and richer during the pandemic, which he's actually not wrong about, by the way. Everyone else got to work from home, but my men had to be on the docks, working, unloading the cargo. And they didn't have the luxury of working from home. So now the big corporate profits, we need to share in those profits. Now look, I'm not going to go into the politics of should they, have a new contract at this ridiculous rate, 70% pay raise, plus an additional 30, I think 5% on the back end with the benefits. The bigger conversation that I think is most important to have involves not only the negotiating tactics of this gentleman, but what is this going to mean for the future of the business? Because if we look across the world, on the other side of the world, particularly China, technologies, AI, robotics, and 5G, where you don't really even need employees because all of this is, look up a video of some of the major ports, like I think the biggest port is in Shanghai. Most all of it is totally automated through 5G, advanced robotics, and there's no people. I mean, the people that are controlling the machines are just monitoring them from inside. So if they push too hard on this, here's the concern on my end, right? Let's say they get all of their demands met, right? Let's just play, devil's advocate. Let's kind of go through all the scenarios here. Let's say all the demands are met and they get a new contract. If you don't think that all of those corporations are going to double, if not triple down on automation, I mean, you're crazy, right? If they give them the pay raise, if they take out the clause that says there's going to be no automation at all, no robotics, they give them the pay raise. If you negotiate from that standpoint, where essentially you're going to hold a gun to everyone's head and say you're going to collapse the U.S. economy, I think to paraphrase, to use the gentleman's terminology, he said, there's going to be no cars coming off the docks. Everyone who works at an auto dealership is going to get fired. They're going to lose their jobs unless our demands are met. Probably not the smartest idea to do that, because not only in the logistics, the cargo, the shipping industry, they're looking at that from a union's perspective. That would be my one piece of advice. Because if you look to other parts of the world, they've already done it, so it's proven it can be done. And in the short term, yeah, you may get a better contract, but in the long term, you could quite possibly be putting your job obsolete, or deeming it obsolete, for lack of a better phrase. So that's my take. Anyone else have a take on that? That was my high-level overview of the strike that is looming. Hey, Steph UF, what's going on? Cheers. A wise analysis, 50% over 5 years, up to 77% over the same time period seems greedy to me. They already make $187,000 a year. Well, look, you never really get what you deserve. You always get what you can negotiate. But from the public statements that the union has made, negotiating standpoint, it's from a whole negotiate in a way where you're going to rally the troops and get everyone on your side, right? You're not going to get the average American. You're not going to get the government, right? Because if the government has to get involved and push these companies to strike a deal, you're not going to get everybody on the same page if you're threatening and you're saying, look, we're going to put everyone out of business. We don't care. We're going to injure everybody. It's just not a good way to negotiate. I think we're buffering. I did turn off the Wi-Fi. Let's see. Hey, what's up, JC? Good to see you. Dusty says there's always sympathy for the companies, but never the employees. Grant Mail says if things are bad now, when it's just getting started, think about what it's going to be like in a few years. NBA Elias, Tom, at what point does this strike affect inflation and cause the Fed to pause interest rate reductions? Well, I don't know if it'll ever get to that point. I think the overarching point that most people are missing is how these negotiations could backfire on the workers and really, hit the accelerant on the age of disruption. That's kind of my warning, to kind of tread lightly. I always recommend this book called AI Superpowers by Kai-Fu Lee. And in that book, he's pretty much predicted exactly to a T everything that has gone on in China from about 2014 on. It's coming here. It may be a little bit of a slower roll, right? I'm not arguing for or against it. I'm just saying if you really play hardball and kind of negotiate from a stance of we don't care about anybody else, cave to our demands, these corporations are going to say, fine, we'll give you the pay raise in the short term, but in the long term, we're going to replace you with a robot, right? So I would just tread lightly, negotiate a fair deal, but don't do it from a standpoint where you have a gun to everyone's head, because that's very, very dangerous. This is Alwyn Court, standing on the corner of 7th Avenue and West 58th Street. It's one of my favorite buildings in the city. Hey, Brad's Brain, what's going on? It says, Tom, this is an opportunity economy where people's dreams and aspirations will grow our economy from an opportunity perspective, unburdened by what has been. Yeah, hilarious. Michael says, weak leadership in the USA, and see what you get in the Middle East. We also got that going on too, for sure. Blade Runner 372 says, do you care about people having jobs? Yes. The answer is yes.
If you all this should end. Go ahead.
What I will say though is if you look throughout history, it's always the best to lean on the side of innovation and lean into innovation and not to be scared of it, right? If we review history, for every one job that technology destroys, it tends to create 4 on the back end. Now, the stipulation is the 4 jobs technology creates on the back end, or the byproduct, require a completely new set of skills, right? Completely new set of skills to retool and retrain. I mean, we just walked past Central Park. I mean, you have the horse and buggy guys here. At one point, there was probably tens of thousands of people, you know, that rode around on these horse and carriages. Now there's like 5 people doing it to give tourists, you know, a little bit of a tour of Central Park, right? The people who resisted, and there were, right, in Manhattan, you could, you know, look this up. There were people that were boycotting and protesting vehicles. They're like, no, you keep the vehicles downtown and you have all the horse and buggies uptown. The people who embraced the innovation, the people who embraced the change made a fortune. Well, the people who didn't and still kept their horse and buggy, you know, fixing business or whatever, didn't do so well. So for the union to say, we want a new contract, and one of the stipulations in the contract is you can't invest in AI, robotics, and automation, that's just asinine. That's just ridiculous. So what, are we going to live in the Stone Age forever? Again, I give that example to China. You look at a lot of these major ports in Shanghai, it's all automated, right? Everything is operated and connected by 5G, super advanced logistics, which has destroyed a lot of those dock worker jobs. But on the back end, think about how many jobs it's created, right? You got to have people to fix these robots. You got to have people to, you know, engineer the specific software to deal with the new high-end and high-tech logistics software. So the point I'm trying to make, right, is not to say I want the jobs to be destroyed. It's to lean into innovation, because that is what has worked in the past for the US, right? It may seem scary in the interim, but in the long term, it's a win. And it's very, very important for the United States of America to be number one in innovation, to be number one as an economic powerhouse, because that's what, you know, the world would be a very, very scary place, in my view, if the United States was not leading from the front. That's my take. This is an awesome shot of 1 Central Park West. Hey, Professor Dedillo says, I agree, Tom. As a teacher / workers, we have to adapt to new tech like the AI revolution. All right, let me catch up on some of these comments here. NBA Elias is the seller of payphones. AT&T became the seller of cell phones. Companies will adapt and thrive with new technology, for sure. For sure. Look, change is difficult for everyone, and that's why I think this, well, we could debate if there's like corruption going on with this union guy. It seems a little bit fishy. And it comes at a very interesting timing in an election cycle, but you know, if you really want to press these corporations and play hardball about, you know, a contract that they're obviously not going to agree to, you can bet that they are going to automate the jobs away. Now, speaking of AT&T, right, NBA Elias' point, speaking of AT&T going from selling payphones to selling cell phones, the next step, right, what many new tech and world leaders think, and when I say world leaders, I'm talking about not like physical world leaders of countries, I'm talking about like the technology leaders, like the Mark Zuckerbergs, the Larry Ellisons of the world, the Elon Musks of the world, those types of folks. They think the next progression in this, I should say, mobile and digital society we live in is actually not the cell phone. They believe that the next extension of a human is going to be through glasses, according to Zuckerberg. I'm not so sure I agree, because then that, you know, obviously pertains that everyone has to wear glasses, and I don't think people are going to want to, everyone's going to want to wear glasses around all the time. If you saw that recent, it wasn't really an interview, it was more like a broadcasted statement from Zuckerberg. He was unveiling the new Meta AI glasses, which are pretty cool, which are very, very cool. He says over time, if you think about how computing worked, everyone was glued to a desktop computer. Now, if you think about the amount of hours you spend computing, right, on a computer, it's mobile, right? Most of the computing that's done now in the world is through a device, right, a cellular device. So less and less time is, essentially more and more time is being drawn away from a stationary desktop and a laptop, and more time is being allocated towards mobile, which is true. Zuckerberg believes the next progressionary step to that is most things will probably be done in glasses, in some sort of AI chatbot that's attached to the glasses. I don't know. Because, I mean, most people don't wear glasses, right? It's kind of rare to see people wearing glasses. I mean, I wear glasses, but, I mean, even if you have 20/20 vision, you've never worn glasses before in your life, maybe sunglasses. So just to adapt to put these things on every day, I don't know. I don't know about that. Blade Runner's virtual reality headsets never really caught on. True, particularly those big, clunky, like, Quest headsets, the Vision Pro. It's a cool piece of tech, but to your point, do you ever see someone walking around on the street with a Vision Pro or a Quest headset? I saw maybe one or two people when the Vision Pro was just released, but not now. Not now. Daniel says MIT is working on contact lenses right now. It's a good point, but here's what I think. And look, Zuckerberg is way smarter than me, so the guy shouldn't take advice from me. But what I fear about what Zuckerberg is doing is I think he's investing too much time and energy into a technology that's already going to be lapped. Because the rate of acceleration of technological change in this world is unbelievable. Just totally unbelievable. So it's my prediction that mobile is going to make a massive jump. You had those big, I mean, who here is old enough to remember like the first cell phone that you would carry around in a literal suitcase, right? So think about the timeline it took for that cell phone, or that mobile phone, whatever you want to call it or categorize it at. Think about the amount of time it took from a phone to go to a big suitcase to a little thing you hold in the palm of your hand. Not that long, 20 years, maybe less, right? So my prediction is that we're not even going to need devices at all. I think in 30 years, devices may be obsolete. You're just going to have a Neuralink type company. It may be Neuralink, right? Or it may be a Neuralink type company where you're essentially now become one with the internet. Because all technology has been, right? The progression in technology over the last decade has just been a latency factor, right? The variable, right, that changed in technology was latency. So before computers, before the internet, if you wanted to look something up, you had to go to a place called the library and look things up in an encyclopedia, and it took you 40 minutes to do it. Then we had the internet, we had dial-up, and maybe it took, an hour or 2 hours to complete that task. Fast forward 20 years, now you have ChatGPT, and you can get any answer in the world instantaneous. Well, near instantaneous. The next step is going to be you just have to think about things, and the chip that's already implanted in your head, you're going to be able to become one with the internet, have instantaneous access to information and data, and that is the new cyborg, essentially. Like, we will become one with the internet. We will become one with machine. So to kind of characterize my fear that Zuckerberg is maybe investing too much time in these glasses, who's going to need a pair of glasses when Elon's Neuralink is going to provide instantaneous access and you don't have to wear anything. I mean, what do you guys think about that? Is that too pie in the sky ridiculous? Or could that actually be a reality? Brad's brains says Tom remains convinced that we will one day accept chips in our heads. That's where we disagree. Well, I don't know. I mean, never say never, Brad. Not to get too like political and open up the can of worms, but the government, right? Pretty much the entire world's population accepted an experimental vaccine in 2 months. And everyone took it. Okay? So never say never about people rolling over and putting a chip in their head, right? Many of my friends put chips in their dogs already, right? So they never have to lose their dog. If their dog runs away, they have a microchip implanted in the pet, the dog or the cat or whatever, and you know where they are. So we're already putting chips in dogs, we're already putting chips in cats. In 30 years, you know, right as you're born, you get your chip, you get your software updates. It may sound crazy, but I mean, nothing would surprise me, honestly. Robert says, Tom, do you really think everyone's going to have brain surgery? I do not think so. Maybe not everyone, but there's already people starting to get it. And the technology is actually quite incredible, right? Maybe this is coming off a bit dystopian, and I understand that. So maybe the reframe should not, maybe we should try to reframe the conversation away from like a dystopian like hellscape and focus on like the really amazing things that this technology is doing. If you look at the first functioning patient, essentially, for Neuralink, it's completely changed this gentleman's life. It's really, really impressive. I would highly suggest watching some of those videos on X, the X platform. It's this guy, young guy, really nice guy. He had I think it was a skiing accident, if I'm not mistaken, and he is completely paralyzed, this guy, from the shoulders down. And with this Neuralink chip, he is able to play chess and move pieces on the chessboard, right, virtually, right? I'm not talking about a physical chessboard, but he's able to do that just by thinking about it, right? So he's using the computer, he's browsing the web, he's playing chess, he's doing small tasks just by thinking about the moves and what he wants to do. So if we can already do that now, in the year 2024, now think about what that guy will be able to do in 2054, right? I mean, again, I just want people to really, really think about the acceleration, right? It's almost like the revenue curve of a SaaS company, right? You go from 0 to 1 million ARR. Then you go from 1 million to 10 million ARR. And it takes you significantly less time to go to 10 million to 100 million ARR than it did you to go to 0 to 1, right? It's exponential, the way this stuff could go. So, look, I'm not saying it's a certainty, but that sure seems where things are going. And we could use the golden rule of everything. The golden rule is follow the money. Interplanetary species and humanoid robots. That is where the money is being invested. And super green, super efficient, massive amounts of energy with single cell nuclear reactors on-prem, right? On-premise, privatized nuclear reactors to power data centers. I think those are the massive trends. Brad's brain says, I've said from day one that that's where the chip is a benefit. Your situation will dictate your risk tolerance. If I'm blind, paralyzed, heck yeah, I'm accepting it. Otherwise, I'm good being dumb. That's a very that's actually, it's kind of a funny comment, but it's actually true. This technology, right? If you were born, paralyzed, God forbid, or you're blind, this technology could cure that. It could essentially make you live a normal life, which is a blessing. It's almost like an act of God, like legit. Wow, it looks like almost every single room at the Trump Tower is occupied tonight. Let me catch up on some of the comments. Let's see what we got here. I see American Creed 1776. It says, Tom, the chip is going to happen someday, but the data accessible is only as good as the data inputted. So it's definitely a slippery slope. Yeah, it's true. That's why Google, does anybody remember in the first half of the year, Google stock had that mini, sell-off kind of event because Google's AI, Gemini AI, was quote unquote, to use everyone's terms, woke, right? So it's true. These algorithms are, it's based upon the data that it's fed. But someday, this AI, again, talking about the acceleration in technological trends, I believe AI will be so smart where it'll be able to determine right from wrong because machine knows better than man. Maybe that's an overly optimistic thought, but I do not accept or believe the ideology that we're going to be living in some negative AI hellscape. I really think if we use history as our guide, technology has significantly improved everyone's life here, including mine. Jax says artificial general intelligence is right in front of us. Hey, Joseph Hardaway, what's going on? Timothy says, who will be responsible when one of these newer nuclear reactors has an accident and contaminates hundreds of square kilometers with radiation for centuries? That is my big concern. It's a very big concern, and I'm not a nuclear engineer, and I'm not that smart, but from the amount of research that I've done on Gen 3 nuclear technology and single cell on-prem nuclear reactors, it is extremely safe, and it's extremely environmentally friendly, extremely. So if you're one of those people who's concerned about, climate change, whatnot, I don't want to get in the whole, that's another hot political topic we could discuss forever. But if you want a greener and cleaner future, which I think we all do, right? Clean energy, green energy, American energy independence, well, that points to nuclear, in my view. Hey, Zach Dean, what's up? Says, hey, Tom, I've been loving your Miami videos. Amazing growth happening in that area. Thank you, Zach. I'll be back in Miami next week for about 3 days. So, yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying the Miami content. I love Miami. Speaking of technology and the future of America, the future of innovation, Miami, Florida has really been leaning into that. And when you're in Miami, when you experience it, you really experience what the future of America and what really America should be, right? At least in my view. I'm biased. I own property there, so maybe I'm biased. The LT Prod says every nuclear accident was from human error. Someone says 33 Thompson Street is an interesting place. Would you consider doing a stream there? I think we have before. That's the building with no windows, the NSA thing. Let me scan some of the comments. Brad says nuclear is so safe nowadays and meets all the environmental desires. It's not Hiroshima. Yeah, that's true. Now, I have some family members who are in that field, who have experience there, mainly in the military, as U.S. military Navy trained nuclear engineers on nuclear-powered aircraft carriers and the like. That's a really great program, by the way. If anyone's watching this, maybe you have kids, maybe you're a high school student, or I don't know, maybe you're just looking for a new career path. The U.S. Navy Navy nuke program is an amazing program. And you have amazing exit opportunities into some very, very lucrative nuclear engineering jobs. And from my understanding, right, from what I've heard from family, is that the industry, the nuclear industry, has been so bastardized and demonized by the government that the United States of America has a net shortage of talented, capable nuclear engineers. So now that the country is kind of doing a 180, right, because, you know, Democrats and Republicans are kind of, you know, seeing the writing on the wall, saying, hey, if we want to be leaders in AI, if we want to be leaders in robotics, we're going to need a lot of energy. And if all of the experts are correct, right, and I'm not saying experts are always correct, right, I think the last 4 years we've learned to understand that sometimes experts are completely wrong, but let's just, you know, play devil's advocate and say, assuming all of the projections are correct, we're not even going to have enough energy to power all of these new technologies. We're just not even going to be able to have the amount of output to do it. So if the U.S. wants to be a leader in innovation and, you know, beat out China and the rest of the world, while maintaining an eco-friendly, you know, environmentally conscious, environmentally safe society, which I believe all of us want to live in, everyone is kind of saying, well, you know, right now, nuclear power is looking pretty good. So now that we're doing that 180, we're like, ooh, we don't have the populace that has the skills to actually put this show on the road. So the U.S. Navy nuke program is a very, very good program for that. This is right outside of 1 Central Park West. I always like coming up here and looking at 15 Central Park West too. Hey, hang with Mark, Mom, what's going on? Good to see you. This is my family, is from Army, Air Force, and Navy, now all engineers. Well, thank them for their service. Thank you so much. NBA Alliance has agreed, Tom. My sister-in-law started her career as an officer, as a nuclear engineer on a U.S. submarine. Ah, cool. Very nice. Yeah, I have family who was on the USS Carl Vinson, CVN 70, which is working on the nuclear reactor. So I don't know, I think the future looks bright, right? A lot of times when we have these AI automation conversations on the stream, it can kind of drift off to a frame that I don't want it to go to as kind of like a dystopian outlook. I don't think that should be the frame. I think it's going to be a very positive future, because if you look back throughout history, it's always been a positive outcome. Thank God, right? How many people lived through Y2K? You know, it was going to be the end of the world. Everything was going to shut down. Everyone was afraid of, you know, no one's going to have a cell phone, or if everyone does have cell phones, it's going to be a complete police state. We're going to have no freedoms, and we're going to be in government lockdown all the time. That didn't really pan out. So always try to have a positive, optimistic view on new tech. At least that's what I try to do. And to quickly preface this, this conversation kind of came up due to the port strike that is ongoing. And if you think about what's going on in other parts of the world, like China, right? Particularly the port in Shanghai, almost the entire shipping industry is automated through AI, through 5G, through robotics. So if these unions really, really push and negotiate to the point where they essentially are negotiating with the gun to everyone's head, short term, yeah, they may make more money, they may get a more lucrative contract, but long term, if you don't think that these companies are going to triple down, quadruple down on investing in automating, into AI, into more advanced logistics, I mean, you got another thing coming. So I would say tread lightly a little bit. MD, this is 23andMe, almost all the board has jumped ship. 23andMe is like that ancestral thing, right? You could
after that,
send in your, like you have a cotton swab and you send it in and it tells you where you're from or something. Now the business model there, I don't really understand it because you don't have repeat customers, right? The most lucrative business models are repeat customers that transact with you over and over and over again. If you think about why enterprise software companies or SaaS companies tend to trade at elevated multiples, price to earnings or price to sales, ridiculous EBITDA multiples, it's because they have very, very predictable revenues and repeat customers, right? Monthly reoccurring revenues, annual reoccurring revenues. With that company, I only need to spend money with you once, get my results, and then I never spend money with you ever again, right? So the TAM, it's actually like kind of it's like a backwards business model because your total addressable market is shrinking with each new customer you acquire. It's kind of weird. So it's a cool little business, but I don't think it's a big business because with each new customer you have, your TAM shrinks. At least that's how I think about it. Hey, what's up, Greg? So Singapore's new port will be completed by 2040. It will be 100% automated, unloading, moving, storage, all by tech. Yeah, and there was a video, to Greg's point, there's this video going around on the X platform showing, you guys got to see this. Let me see if I can pull it up on my phone. I know we're kind of hammering on this topic tonight, but all of the great investment opportunities are by trend following and identifying what's coming in the future, not resisting the change, right? You're never going to get a wave. You kind of got to get in the water. So if you go to X and you just type in the search bar, Shanghai shipping port, it's a video that is essentially a drone footage, aerial drone footage of all of the dock and the shipping, the cargo completely automated. From the big cranes that are taking the cargo off the ships to the little dollies that are transporting the cargo to the big trucks, everything is automated and connected and tracked with 5G. So that's coming. That is coming. So for this union, again, not to sound like a broken record, but if you look at the negotiating tactics of the union lead, I think they should get paid more, but don't come out and say to the American people and everyone that, we're going to essentially tank the economy and all the auto workers are going to lose their jobs because we're not going to bring the cargo off the ships. That's not a way to win over, the voices of everyone, just in my view. But this is the Brooklyn Diner. Brad says, I love how people getting their DNA info has caused their relatives who were killers to be caught. Geez, I didn't hear about that. That's insane. I didn't hear about that. LACT Pops is without repeating customers, you won't have a good business. MD says 60 Minutes did a great piece on 23andMe. I'll have to check that out. MD says you aren't the client, their clients are the pharmaceutical companies in China. Oh, interesting. I'm gonna check that out, MD. So essentially what? They're selling your data being DNA to pharma companies or something? If that's the case, maybe it is a good business, but maybe it's not legal. I don't know. I don't know all the... Probably in the fine print on 23andMe, I don't know, I've never done it before. You probably give up all the rights to your DNA, and in the fine print it says, we're gonna sell this to every single pharmaceutical company on earth. Maybe, I don't know if it says that, but assuming what MD is alluding to, that appears to be the case. That's almost diabolical, if that's true. I don't even know in good conscience I could put that in fine print. Oh, by the way, we're gonna sell your DNA, your genetic makeup. Whew. That seems like it's screaming a lawsuit to me. But again, I'm not an expert in this stuff, so. And I'm not a medical professional. Hey, what's up, Davi? Good to see you from Brazil. Jack says ChatGPT is a large language model. Soon, instead of an iPhone, you will carry a personal assistant that can answer any questions. Hey, Teresa Diaz, what's up? Now, you know what was an interesting theory that somebody brought up? I forget who, I forget where I heard this, but they think that the future is going to be individual cloud profiles, which we technically already have on most things. But hear me out on this, right? And this would significantly cut down on, theft. There would essentially be no reason for anyone to steal anyone's device. So they predict a future where devices, right, like an iPhone, an Android, everything will all run in the same operating system, but the device will be blank. So for example, let's say you pick up an iPhone, right? This is my other phone, my iPhone 13 mini. Anyone could, in theory, pick up a phone, right? Pick up a device, you scan your facial recognition, and that device automatically populates your profile on anyone's device. And when you're done using it, you click the button, you set it down, then I could pick it up, it scans my face, and it makes this device essentially my phone. So you have, well, it looks like someone's getting pulled over. So essentially, if you're at the office and you leave your laptop at home, no big deal. Just put your face in front of the computer screen, the monitor will read your face, and everything just, boom, shows up automatically. It's like you have a completely encompassed virtual cloud profile everywhere, and that's kind of like the next step to getting rid of devices. It's an interesting theory. I think it'd be pretty cool. Yeah, New England crypto, it's an interesting theory, right? And that really goes into some like very, very deep biometrics, like technology. I mean, if we already have the technology to do facial recognition, what's the next step to link that facial recognition to a all-encompassed cloud profile that can be accessed anywhere? Because right now, right, cloud computing is, I guess you can consider it bifurcated in nature a little bit, because you have so many apps. Does that kind of make sense? Now, if you're in the software background, or if you've been selling software or whatnot, one of the biggest objections that I have had to overcome when I was selling technology is, well, does this software am I going to be able to have API access to this particular software, right? Essentially, API access, software is integrating and talking to other softwares. So is my Workday going to be able to integrate with my Salesforce? Is my Salesforce and Workday going to be able to integrate with my Zoom Info for my lead generation, right? Now, what if the future is a mass consolidation of apps to one massive, essentially, I don't want to say digital ID, because that sets people off. I just don't have the terminology for it in my head. But it's essentially just like your profile is in the cloud as, Thomas Malloy. Boom, it could upload and auto-populate anywhere. And you can see this a little bit, not from a visual perspective, but has anyone ever paid for anything at Whole Foods with their palm? Or is anyone too freaked out to do that? It's sort of like that, right? If you're able to go into the Whole Foods and pay for your groceries by just scanning your palm, and that connects to your bank account, that's pretty much step one to doing that. It's pretty much step one. Hey, what's up, Peter? This is how safe is the cloud with all your personal information. Pretty safe. But you definitely do run the risk of, cyber attacks, hacks. That's another reason why I'm bullish cybersecurity in general. But I don't know. I think the future is very interesting. It's very bright when you think about these technologies like this. Lots of opportunity for sure. Crypto meme says, I'll only give someone access to my biometric data if I can hold the private key. Kind of like with that BTC. Anyway, if you guys are enjoying the broadcast tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. And for those of you who are watching, has anything interesting been said so far with the vice presidential debate between J.D. Vance and Tim Walz? Anything interesting that eye-popping, or more of the same nonsense from both sides? Let's see what the monthly rate is here. $550 a month to park. If you have an oversized vehicle, it's $750. And if you want to be on the main floor, like get a spot right here, about $1,200. Gordon said at the debate, got it. Bree says I turned it off and came here. NBA Elias is both through vanilla and not looking to make any mistakes. So nothing interesting, nothing groundbreaking. Anyways, I'll probably watch the highlights, the clips, just to see if there's anything interesting said about the markets. Let me quickly pop you guys in here. This is 6th and a Half Avenue. This is a French restaurant, beautiful in here. Cruz is nothing meme-worthy yet. That is actually quite surprising to me. We're what, an hour into the debate? Nothing yet meme-worthy? Anyway, it's beautiful here. know. Hang with Mark Moms is great ambiance. It really is. Embassy says that parking garage charges $200 a month to park a bicycle. Really, at that rate, you'll spend more to park your bicycle than on the bicycle itself, for sure. I don't really think anyone pays $200 to park their bicycle there. Maybe they'll get like one person to do it. I doubt it, but the problem is if you bike to work every day and you have to lock up your bike outside, you should probably budget for at least 3 to 4 new bicycles a year because they will get stolen. That is a guarantee. But I mean, if you work in one of these big office buildings, it's not like you're going to leave the bike outside. You're going to bring it up to the office. They usually have a basement where you could put your bike, but yes, I do agree that it's quite crazy. Running at altitudes as there is a debate, question mark. That was exactly my thought. I had no idea. All right, let's take a little bit of a poll in the audience here. How many of you, honestly, did not know there was the vice presidential debate tonight? Am I the only one who is completely oblivious? I feel as if they didn't advertise this at all. I didn't see anything about it over the weekend on X, anything about it over the weekend on the media. I had zero idea that there was debate. Yeah, Brad just had no clue. Hang with Mark Mom says didn't know. Seems like a lot of people didn't know. Patrick says you knew. All right, so I don't feel too bad then. Chloe says I knew about it, but I'm definitely not interested in it. It's a little fishy that the media didn't announce this, right? I mean, with the President Trump, current Vice President Kamala Harris debate, I felt like that was like the Super Bowl. Everyone was pumped up to watch that. Maybe they knew that the ratings were going to suck for this debate, the VP debate. Because let's face it, right? Whether you like the guy or not, whether you like Trump or you hate Trump, the guy draws crowds and everyone watches the debate just for the outlandish craziness that's said. It's like a cartoon. It's like you're watching a cartoon character, right? The both of them. So it draws ratings and the media probably made a lot of money off of that. This is 53 West 53rd Street. Now everyone, today is October 1st. Today is officially the start of Q4. Incredible, insane, where has the year gone? Unbelievable. Now, if we review, right, and we've gone over this really to the point of ad nauseum, I thought this guy had his kid. I thought he was walking his kid around the city with the stroller, but it's his dog. He has a little French bulldog. That's insane. People have strollers. Anyway, but when we were doing the analysis of the worst performing month for the stock market, it was the month of September. And we were like, look, we're in for a bumpy ride. It could be extra volatile this September because we're in election year. But the S&P 500 finished up 2% on the month, I believe. The NASDAQ also finished positive. There was some volatility, but usually in September, it's supposed to be a red month for the market. So the market is extremely resilient. I mean, if we can't get a red September, during an election season when the country is more turbocharged than ever before, and when we have wars absolutely raging on in the Middle East and in Europe. If the S&P 500 can't get a red close on the month, I mean, guys, this is a very, very resilient market. Now, today is not only September 1st, it is also the first business day of the month. And the first business day of the month, we get the ISM PMI manufacturing numbers. So if you type exclamation point PMI in the chat, once again, exclamation point PMI in the chat, it's going to bring you to the Institute for Supply Management website where the most recent PMI numbers were released. Now, I want everyone to take a moment, if you have a few moments tonight, if you have a few moments tomorrow, and really read that report. Specifically, read the portion where it says what respondents are saying. Yeah, so that's the link right there. www.ismworld.gov or .org, excuse me. And that is going to paint a picture of the health or lack thereof of the manufacturing sector of the US economy. Now, it's very important to always stay up to date whenever these reports are released, because they are a broad-based survey of manufacturing in the US. And the part where it says what respondents are saying are exact quotes and excerpts of what some of the top leaders in the manufacturing world are saying about their business. So not only in computer electronics, but in refining, every single facet of the manufacturing sector in the US economy is covered, and they give forward-looking statements. Are orders growing? Are orders contracting? Are inventories growing? Are inventories contracting, right? And as a trader or a portfolio manager, there's a very high correlation between GDP growth, gross domestic product growth or the lack thereof, and the health of the manufacturing sector in the US. About 70% of the time when manufacturing is expanding or growing in the United States, we get a positive GDP print 6 months later. Now, the reason why that's important is because an additional 70% of the time when the United States has a positive GDP print, the S&P 500 is also therefore positive 6 months later. So if we can use these leading economic indicators to help us navigate the markets and develop a directional bias, statistically speaking, getting into a little bit of quant stuff, you'll be able to better position your portfolio. For example, if we have continuous reports of the manufacturing sector or the ISM PMI expanding, so the manufacturing sector in the United States expanding, then we get the ISM services PMI also expanding, but then you start putting on a bunch of short positions in the portfolio, well, by nature and by law of probabilities, it's not just less likely, it's much less likely that that short bias is going to play out. So direction of the market is most important, and then you can kind of hammer down into sector focus and individual stock focus, right? Sort of like a top-down, bottom-up approach to portfolio management. So take a look at that report. In a few days, we're going to hear from the services sector, obviously here in the United States, right? We are a services-based economy. We don't really make things here anymore, right? And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because all of our innovation has really come out of the digital world, the software world. We don't manufacture like little gizmos and gadgets anymore. Although I do see a world where more manufacturing comes back to the United States, more onshoring, mainly due to the virus that just happened about 4 years ago, which is also another reason why China's in big trouble. But Anyway, as I digress, take a look at that. It's an interesting read, and then we'll review it together tomorrow on the live stream. Patrick New York's, Tom, what companies do you think will do well in Q4 this year? Well, it's an interesting sector that's been doing really well is utilities. I mean, look at some of the individual utility names. They've been almost trading like growth stocks. But I think generally speaking, I expect the market to do well in Q4. I think you'll have a volatility event, something in and around the election, right? Because people are always fearful, right? Half the country is going to have a hissy fit if current Vice President Kamala Harris wins. And the other half of the country is going to throw a little bit of a hissy fit and a tantrum if former President Donald Trump wins. And that's going to cause some volatility. But that's, in my opinion, right, in my view, that's all short-term fear-based trading, which is going to create mispricing in the market, which in turn creates amazing opportunity for people like you and me who can see through the politics, right? The United States is not going to end if Donald Trump becomes president, right? No matter how much CNN tells you that Donald Trump is going to be a dictator on day one. That's all bullshit. That's all propaganda. That's all nonsense. The same can be said, right, if you tune into our good friends at Fox News over on Avenue of the Americas. They'll say, you know, Comrade Kamala, right? These are propaganda talking points to brainwash society. That's all bullshit. The United States will continue to be the United States of America under either of those two presidents, no matter who's selected or elected, excuse me. You just really have to look at the incentivization structure of the media. The media, the incentivization structure is to sensationalize, right? They need to get you worked up. They need to get you upset at your neighbor, right? That differs from you politically, so they can better draw clicks, which means they sell more advertising, right? So the more fear, right, that is reported. And you could even do a case study on a lot of these huge YouTube channels that draw massive, massive crowds. Most of the content is focused around selling fear, because fear sells. So keep a level head. The United States will continue to live on and prosper. Here's an interesting statistic for all of you that I bet you won't believe, but it is true. This quarter, Q3, corporate profits in America hit a new all-time record high. Corporate America has never made more money and has never been more profitable than they are right now. Think about that for a moment. But wasn't the narrative we were sold that the Biden administration is going to kill corporate America and the Democrats are supposed to be anti-corporate America and anti-corporate greed? Well, corporate America just hit a new all-time record high for corporate profit margins. Never been higher before in the history of America than it is right now at this second. Also, another narrative buster for you. You've been told that, you know, one side of the aisle is anti-oil and gas and is going to kill the oil and gas sector, and is against drilling and is going to crash. Sorry, I'm just trying to decide if I'm going to cross the street here, because I want to take you guys to 270 Park. We'll wait to cross the street. Anyway, the U.S. has never drilled more oil a day than we do right now. So the drill baby drill thing is already happening. Like, we've never produced more oil than the United States of America is doing right now. So it's, you know, don't freak out. Don't freak out. The U.S. is doing good. We had two positive GDP prints. Q1 GDP came in positive. Q2 GDP came in positive and was just revised higher. I don't know if anyone saw that, by the way, but Q2 GDP was just revised higher. Now, I'm not saying the economy is good for everyone, right? Obviously, I'm not trying to gaslight people. we understand, and we've talked about this before, it's a very bifurcated economy, but we are humming along. Hey, what's up, D? The LT Prod says Trump asked Elon Musk to provide Starlink for those affected by the hurricanes. Well, that's good. Elon should do that. I heard that, what is there, over 1 million people plus without power? It's horrible. Really quick announcement, if you guys are interested and you enjoy all the conversations we have each night on the broadcast, we also write a free investing newsletter called Behind the Street that we send out every other Thursday right as the market closes. This Thursday is going to be our first issue of Q4, and you're not going to want to miss it. There's going to be some groundbreaking stuff in there. So if you want to receive it on Thursday, just feel free to scan the QR code on your screen and punch in your email, and that'll bring you to our Substack. Again, I write the newsletter every other Thursday starting at really market close. So check us out. Check out the Empire State Building tonight. Pretty incredible. NBA Elias, Tom, will be interesting to see fourth quarter earnings reports from insurance companies because of the hurricane claims. Yeah, that's true. And I'm sure our insurance premiums are going to go up even more. Oh wow, look at that. Such a unique color. Reggie 44 says insurance will be brutal. I know, man. I mean, I own a place in Florida, so trust me. I know all about the horrible, horrible insurance premiums. Here we are at the New York City Diamond District. All right, maybe we'll cross over to Park Avenue just to kind of take a little break from Taylor Swift. We'll take a detour, check out 270 Park, which is JP Morgan Chase brand new office tower. Oh, Wise House says, let's get World War III popping, that's all I'm saying. Well, on a serious note, with Iran launching missiles at Israel, first and foremost, hopefully everyone is safe. We do have quite a few viewers from Israel, so hopefully everyone is safe and unharmed. But secondly, I've been seeing a lot of that on X. Even some friends have been texting me, that's the official start of World War III. This is going to be the first step to a larger escalation. But the markets are not really showing that side of the story. Because in my view, if the war in the Middle East was really going to explode to an all-out World War III style conflict, you would see it in commodities tonight. Well, you would have saw it in commodities today at what, 11 a.m.? Iran started the attack? I forget. 1 o'clock, something like that? But crude oil is like at $71 a barrel. So little to no movement in the price of crude. Yeah, the LT process oil didn't even go up that much considering. That's exactly kind of my thought. Now, I'm not saying it's a non-issue, right? It is an issue. It's a major geopolitical event that just happened. But, you know, the market knows all, and it's kind of shaking it off. This is where is silver and gold at. I think gold was 26.60 today, 26.65 on the futures print, which is insane, right? Gold has performed exceptionally well. This is one Vanderbilt, like ended up in purple. Looks really beautiful. That. Now, is the debate still going on, everybody, or did the debate end? Hey, what's up, Carlos? Says hello, everyone. What's up from Brazil? Good to see all of our Brazilian viewers. Kathleen says debate's still going. Now, is there any live audience? I know we're not really supposed to talk about politics, but I don't get why the presidential debates now don't have live audiences. It was fun back in the day, kind of watching the crowd's reaction. Anyway. Yeah, no live audience sucks. You gotta have a live audience. Gary says no audience, but it's for 90 minutes. It's like a whole soccer game out there. This used to be a Brooks Brothers. Now they turned it into like a coffee shop / cafe. It's quite nice in here. Someone says, I like how they mute the mics now. I don't know, I kind of like the chaos of it all. Yeah, this used to be one of the main Brooks Brothers in Manhattan. You can see right here. Brooks Brothers, established in 1818. Anyone here a fan of Brooks Brothers? I'd say that's my favorite fall / winter style clothing brand is Brooks Brothers. Let's go to Grand Central Station so we can get a better look at 270 Park. Reggie says, when's the last time I had a New York hot dog? Oof, my God. It's a good question. You're talking about like from the cart guys, like from the hot dog carts? Man, I don't even know. That's a really good question, Reggie. I'm gonna say maybe it's gotta be over 10 years. I never order any food from those food cart guys. Yeah, I'd say final answer is probably over 10 years. Well over 10 years. The moment I decided to never buy anything from a food vendor, and I don't really like telling this story, but we'll tell the story tonight since we have a smaller audience, is the moment where I found out and I experienced in firsthand where all of those food carts are stored at night. And they're stored right off of 10th Avenue near a place called DeWitt Clinton Park. And I was coming back from a practice. This was, I think I was a freshman in college. And I walked past this kind of warehouse, dilapidated place right near DeWitt Clinton Park. And this was, 2013 when, the West Side wasn't really built up at all. And it was a little warehouse, and it was all those hot dog carts. And it quite literally looked like everything was moving in there. That's how many rats were climbing in, around, on top of, while people were like spraying the carts down with the hose, cleaning it. It was like a mountain of rats crawling in and out, around, jumping on each other, fighting each other. It was the craziest thing. And I said, I will never, ever eat from those places again. Now, I used to tell that story a lot when we had like 2 or 3 people watching a night, because I don't want to impact anyone's business. Maybe it's changed. I mean, this was 10 years ago, but as you can imagine, it's left a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth to say, my God, I don't think I'm going to eat there. So do with that information what you will. I'm not saying don't go to them. I don't want any beef with the New York City food vendors. No pun intended. But that's my take. Do with that information what you may. Peter says, do I consider the New York City halal carts to be food vendors? I do, except the Adele's Famous. So my only exception is Adele's. That's it. But I won't eat anything off the street anymore, ever. Because of that incident, and I got food poisoning one time from an unrelated incident at a halal cart near 34th Street. I mean, it's not worth it. I mean, I live in New York City, right? Some of the best restaurants in the world are here. I'd rather go to them instead of, try to risk it with that. Now, this is an amazing, amazing view we're going to see here right now in a moment. Look at that. Art Deco spectacular. The beautiful Chrysler Building. Professor Dario says, I agree. Daytona Gal says, I wouldn't be able to eat from those food trucks either. Similar experience with cleanliness. I know. Someone says you should take a look at most restaurant kitchens. Yeah, I've heard from people who work in the restaurant business that even some of the restaurants that have an A rated from the what's it called?
That'd be worse.
The health department. Even the ones that are A rated, you know, some horror stories are there. That's why, I mean, if you see a restaurant that has a C rating, that's crazy. I mean, that is crazy. I would never eat somewhere that has a C health code rating. I mean, that's just like a little bit too risky for me, honestly. But look, I eat out every day in Manhattan. I don't think I ever cook. You know, most New Yorkers don't. It's just too busy throughout the day. So I always go out to eat every night, every day. So So I think they're going to tear this hotel down, this Hyatt at Grand Central. And they're supposed to build something else. Everyone was upset about it because it's going to block the views of the Chrysler Building. But if you continue to walk down 42nd Street, you're going to run into the old Pfizer building. And we've talked about this before multiple times, but we might as well see the building again. The old Pfizer headquarters in Manhattan, that is going to be converted into apartments. Now, prior to that project, Harry Mackallow's One Wall Street was the largest office to condo conversion in the city's history. Has over 580 apartments in the building. It's a pretty nice building. I think they overspent on the building, but that's just me. But that's soon to be dethroned by this building right over here. This is not only going to be the largest office to apartment conversion in the city's history, but in the entire history of the United States of America. And we'll check it out right now. We'll see if there's any progress on it. Maybe they started to internally dismantle the interior. Who knows? We're now crossing Lexington Avenue to the east side. We're standing directly under the Chrysler Building. 42nd and Lex. But if you're all enjoying the live stream tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. Here's the Chrysler Building. You guys want to take a peek in the lobby? We'll take a peek in the lobby of the Chrysler Building. Pretty cool. This is Mount Sinai over here. Oh, what I was going to say, I may need the audience's help here. Very seldom do I ask for your help, but if anyone in the audience works at Mount Sinai, NYU Langone, or even any hospital, like if you work at any hospital network on the East Coast, could you send me an email if you don't mind? I just have a few quick questions but particularly like New York Presbyterian, NYU, Langone, Mount Sinai, any hospital network that has like a division of like, well, every hospital has on-site laboratory, but I just have a few quick questions. You can send me an email at walkswallstreet@gmail.com or thomas.malloy@element.com if you want. I just have a few. I may need help with something. Okay, 3rd Avenue. Here we are coming up on Pfizer's headquarters here. Well, old headquarters. They're now at the Hudson Yards. And it does look like construction has started, maybe. They've closed off the sidewalk. Major detour sign. Here it is. You can see Pfizer. This building takes up almost an entire city block. It's about a half, yeah, I'd say about a half a city block. This is going to be all brand new apartments. Yeah, look at it. It looks like they're already doing some sort of internal demolition here. Reggie 44 says, any good diners left? Yeah, a few. One of which is called the Flame Diner. I wonder what they're going to do to the lobbies. Maybe raise the ceiling heights? Who knows? It seems a little old. I mean, I don't know if they're going to do too much work on the facade. Who knows? We'll walk up 2nd Avenue a little bit more. We never go up 2nd. It's very quiet over here at night. And a lot of the retail over here is abandoned. I like these original pre-war buildings right here. These look really nice, minus the big garbage truck. It's quite nice. This is like an air freshener in and of itself to the neighborhood. Hey, Nikita Harris, what's going on? Good to see you. Yeah, those bodegas that have the flower shops outside, it's an air freshener to the neighborhood. It really is. Makes a huge difference. Hey, what's up, C. Brown? Says my son lives right by there. This is a nice neighborhood. It's quiet. Close to Midtown. A lot of 24/7 bodegas. If you continue to walk east, you'll run into the United Nations. And I think this is Trump Tower here. Trump United Nations Plaza, I think. This big black building here. It's actually a pretty nice building. The problem is just too far east. That's the only problem I have with it. You know, it seems close to Midtown and Grand Central Station, but when you actually live here and you do that walk every day, it does seem very, very isolated. It does seem very, very far away, particularly if you work on Park Avenue or something, or let's say even if you work, you know, further on Avenue of the Americas, 6th. It's a bit of a hike. You feel a little bit too isolated. That's the only drawdown, and you're far away from the trains. Yeah, Reggie says, who is running the city? Too bad you have such a terrible city government. Well, maybe this is actually encouraging. Maybe it's actually better if nobody's running the government right now. It's crazy to say, but perhaps the city runs more smoothly without anyone in charge at this point. Now, assuming the allegations are correct, I don't know, right? Would you rather have, and again, we don't know if any of the allegations are true against Mayor Eric Adams. We live in the United States of America. I think we should give people the benefit of the doubt. You know, my political ideology does not align with Mayor Eric Adams, but we do live in America, and you know, he will have his day in court, and we'll see. We'll see if it's, you know, we'll see if he's corrupt. I don't know. I have my hunches, but would you rather have a corrupt politician running the government or nobody? I think I'd say nobody.
But at the same time, like,
Hey, Nikita Harris says, it seems super chill. I'm trying to decide between Miami and New York City for my home base, but leaning towards both. I would say choose both. Definitely choose both. You're going to love Miami. I have a place in Miami. I love Miami. The energy, the vibe. Particularly if you spend a lot of time in New York, in the winter, it's nice to have a spot in South Florida. It doesn't necessarily need to be Miami. Maybe you go to Palm Beach. Maybe you go to Boca Raton. You know, maybe you go to Fort Lauderdale. But it's nice to kind of have a place to go and escape the darkness, the wind, and the brutal cold of the Northeast New York winter. So I'd say choose both. If you could do it, choose both. And the economy down there in South Florida has been doing very, very good. Lots of opportunities. I should say more job opportunities than ever before down there in the tech and finance industry. So maybe that's for you. Hey, what's up, Lee? Just presumed innocent until proven guilty. Now, here's the other thing, right? I haven't really had enough time to look into all these charges, but from my understanding, it's, you know, he got fancy hotel rooms from the Turkish government, and as like a quid pro quo type thing. Is that correct or is that incorrect? If that's the case, look, is it still illegal to do that? Yes. Should you be doing that? No. But let's be real and read between the lines here. Every single politician that has walked the face of the earth in the United States has done something like that. You cannot convince me they have not. Republicans, Democrats, everyone stays in nice hotels, okay? I mean, we just had the United Nations here. You know which hotels were at full occupancy? 10,000 a night, 20,000 a night. Park Hyatt, totally sold out. The Sherry Netherland, totally sold out. Let's just get away from this guy. He's having a little bit of an episode. What's it called? Plaza Hotel, completely sold out, right? All these politicians, not only in the US, but all over the world, you know, everyone's give and take. That's my kind of view. It just depends if the powers that be want to go after you for something trivial, they will. That's my take. Sam M says, any comment on the unprecedented, devastating hurricane? Not really. I mean, I don't know what more I could say. It's terrible. It's just terrible, terrible storm. And hopefully everyone is safe. Hopefully everybody is safe and can rebuild accordingly. But it's terrible. This is that place, Tommy Jazz, I believe, right here. This is like an underground jazz bar. And I think our friend's shop is right here, in one of these. Let's see. But the storm surge from that hurricane was insane. What was it? 20-foot storm surge, something like that? So I think Chase the Fox is somewhere here. It's in one of these. Ah, here it is. Chase the Fox. So if you guys are visiting the city and you want like a cool little gift shop, buy your friends, family something for the holidays, clients, come here, check it out. Our good friend owns this store. It's awesome to support small businesses. Let's see if we can get down there. Hopefully we don't set off some sort of freak alarm. We'll risk it though. We'll risk it. Anyway, but this is an awesome little store. It's very, very cool. It's like a little underground gift shop. I love it here. So check it out, Chase the Fox. 299 East 53rd Street. Oh, we have the owner in the chat right here. So Leanne in the chat is the owner. Come support, come out. I think I'll probably start coming here to buy clients closing gifts and things like that. It's a cool spot. It's an awesome neighborhood. You're right next to that jazz place, Tommy Jazz.
Where's he going? Where's he gonna go?
Marketing videography says the Greek restaurant next door is very good. That's good to know. It seems like there's a lot of restaurants, bars on this street, 53rd. Third Avenue right here at the subway. Right next to the Lipstick Building. This is where Bernie Madoff ran his Ponzi scheme. Right here to the right. 3rd Avenue and 53rd Street.
They don't give them benefits?
Well, usually those linesmen get things up and running rather fast. The problem is the devastation from the fallen trees, collapse on people's houses. It's terrible. But the worst is the storm surge, which is horrible. Horrible, horrible. Let's go back to park, because I do have to go back to the office. But I think we covered a lot. The first half of the stream, we went really, really deep on automation, AI, this port strike in the United States, what could be the potential ramifications of that.
And now I have a car.
kind of looking over to China, looking over to Singapore, just the technology that they have. Everything is fully automated, so I think the union should tread lightly on how they negotiate. Because maybe they'll get a good contract short term, but in the long term, they'll probably put themselves out of a job faster than ever before. And it is the official start of Q4. We weren't able to get to some of the data points about stock market performance in October, November, December. We'll get really granular on that tomorrow night. But S&P 500 finished up 2% for September, which is pretty remarkable, especially knowing that September is usually the worst month for stock market performance. Alan's Tom debate just ended. 100% suggest you watch it somewhere later. Really good. It was a cordial debate. I'm gonna check out the clips, the highlights. They usually have like a highlight reel on X or on YouTube. Again, like I said, I didn't even know the debate was going on tonight. But I will definitely look into it. So we'll see you guys tomorrow. We will be live at 8:45. Once again, if you want to sign up for our free investor letter, we're going to be sending out the first issue of Q4 on Thursday, right as the market closes. You can scan the QR code on your screen, punch in your email. It'll take you to our Substack, in which case we'll send it out there Thursday night. But until then, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Mohammed, take care. Thank you so much. Leanne, Nikita Harris, Tatted T, Alan, New England Crypto, Professor Dario, Patrick, New York, Austin City Limits, Mark Summers, cheers, Jack, TD, Joe Driver, all of our moderators. Big day tomorrow. Big day in the markets. Once again, check out the Institute for Supply Management, that PMI report. You can read the report by typing !PMI in the chat. We'll go through the manufacturing sector tomorrow as well. Hang with Mark Mom. Until tomorrow, we'll see you guys at 8:45.